In my previous video, I covered how to build floating islands in Minecraft. We'll be doing the exact same thing today, but I'll be assuming that you're now an expert with all of the tools that I use. This includes World Painter, World Edit, and all the different commands associated with them. But don't worry, I'll still provide all of the commands and processes that are required within the video. Make sure you have World Painter open, and in the far right, verify that you have your custom brushes installed. If you don't know how to do that, just check out my previous video and it covers that. I'm going to make sure the brush setting rotation is set to 0 and keep the intensity at 80%. We're going to create a new world. Go to File, New World, and just change the name to something recognizable. For the map format, change it to version 1.19 or later. For topography, I'm going to click Flat. Under Surface Material, I'm going to configure and just delete everything that are in the Terrain and Layers tabs and then click OK. We're done. I'm going to click Create. Now, the first thing that we're going to do is place down the mountain. I'm going to make sure I grab the height tool in the top left, make sure the radius is set to about 80, and I'm just going to pick Snow Mountain 4 from Edmund's brush pack. I'm going to hold left click on the canvas and make sure the height reaches to about 120 blocks. Next, I'm going to do this again with a different brush. I'm going to go Snow Mountain 3. I'm going to change the rotation to, let's say, 90 degrees and just place it somewhere near the other mountain. Again, holding left click until it reaches about 120 to 140 blocks. That should be good, and we can verify now how it looks using the View Show 3D View tab. That looks pretty good to me. The peak is solid, so I think we're good to go. The final step we want to do before exporting, of course, is changing some of the terrain. So what this will do is remove any floating grass when you flip your mountain upside down using World Edit. So I'm going to grab the pencil tool, and I'm going to go down to the Terrain tab under the layers, and we're going to grab bare grass, which means no flowers, no tall grass, nothing. And we just want to make the max radius of the circle so it covers both of the mountains. I use the default brushes with the hard circle so that there is no spots missing. And we're just going to hold left click, maybe drag it around a little bit, and that should be good. It applies the no grass, bare terrain to everything. So to export this world, I'm going to go to File, Export, Export as new Minecraft map. The directory should be automatically detected, but if you need to figure out where that goes, you can look at my previous video and I cover that. Under game settings, we're going to change the game mode to creative, and we're going to change a few things in the surfaces tab in the top right of this export window. Under general, we're going to go change the underground material to something like stone, which is a little bit annoying to find because you got to scroll a bunch, and there it is. Under the resources tab, I'm going to click that and click resources everywhere. We're going to untick it, and you should be good to go for exporting. So just click export and let it do its thing. It should end up in your Minecraft saves, which is where we're going to go next. All right, so here we are in Minecraft. This should be the world that you exported. Just launch it. First thing we're going to do is turn this into a floating island using the method that I used in my last video. So get your world edit axe out. I'm going to be obviously operating on the assumption that you guys know world edit commands, at least at a basic level, and you can kind of pause the video and follow along. So what I want to do is get about this part upwards as the floating island. So I'm going to just... what Y level is this? About 98? Okay, perfect. We're going to go out this way, and we're just going to do the position commands so then we can copy this section of the mountain. So //POS1. I'm going to speed up the video. Alright, we're now on the complete opposite corner, //POS2, and it's ready to copy. I'm going to drop back down to about Y equals 98 and copy that. Okay, //copy, and it's on your clipboard. Now we can go off to a little bit of an altitude and a little bit away from the mountains so that they don't clip into each other. I think this should be a good enough height, and type //flip up. This will reverse it, or flip the mountain in the other direction, and then we can do //paste to get it in game. There we go. It has now been copied. We're going to want to do a couple things to this. My preference is that the top layer is grass blocks like this, and then the rest of it is stone. Starting with this top layer, I'm just going to build out some blocks so I can make a selection. So let's make sure that it is adjacent with both outer edges. That looks good. We're going to select this with our axe and then just delete the blocks. Now just go to the far opposite corner and set your position to 2 using manual commands again. And we're going to replace dirt with grass underscore block and replace stone with grass block. As you can see, now the top layer is completely. Now let's do this again. We're going to want to build out one level below like this. Make sure again it's adjacent with the far corner. Let me get that 3 menu off, sorry. Just build all the way out, and we'll set position 1 to here. And I'm gonna go the opposite corner and drop down below the island. Should be good. //POS2, and then we're gonna replace, maybe / replace dirt with stone. There's gonna be some grass blocks left over from when we flipped it, so we're gonna have to do replace grass _ block with stone as well. Just do one more time, replace dirt with stone to get any stragglers. Now this is your floating island. The terraforming on it looks pretty solid, which is why we used world painter brushes in the first place. You didn't have to place any of that by hand, but going over the top surface layer, we can use a few world edit commands to kind of create what we want for the top of this peak, or you can use schematics to paste in terrain and buildings and whatever else. Alright, we're going to create a couple of brush tools. So what I like to do is get some recognizable items that I typically use. We're going to get the stick and the blaze rod. So I'd suggest you do the same. First thing I want to do is set this to a brush that creates a sphere of grass at about a radius of 5. So do / brush sphere grass _ block space 5. Now we right click this terrain here, boom, get a sphere of grass. For the blaze rod, I'm going to set it to a brush smooth of an intensity, let's say 4. Now if we right click that, it'll flatten it out a little bit, make it a little bit more smooth, and then you can go over with some hand terraforming after. We're going to just spread these out a little bit. How about like that? Sure. Now just go over this stuff with your smooth tool, and it should look pretty okay. All right, hand terraforming wise, you know, just make it look a little bit more natural. That's usually my thing, is if I want it to look good, you know, you break some blocks, make it look like it's kind of Minecraft generation still, and it'll look pretty solid, especially the tops of these grasses here, these spheres. It makes it very obvious to use world edit unless you either break them down to a flat level or you connect them somehow. Alright, before we make a building, I want to add some trees around this area just so we can spice up the appearance of the terrain. So we're going to do /tool space tree, and we're going to do large oaks just for the sake of saving some time. You can also load schematics for trees like I mentioned before. And with that, all we have to do now is just right click wherever we're looking and it should spawn a tree in. Oh, now we have a nice big forest on the side of this floating mountain. Last thing is we could add a little bit of foliage now. So just grab your regular old bone meal, no commands, just right click around a few times. Alright, so I did a couple of changes in between the cuts. I removed the spheres and terrain that were all on this side of the floating island, basically just because I hated how it looked, and it blocked the view for what I'm going to build for the video thumbnail. I'm going to be building a house and some water features and whatever else, and I'll throw up a replay time lapse.
This is the outro now.